Hey everybody, this is book number 88. This is another book Grandma and Grandpa bought while they were traveling. I read you a book yesterday from Patricia Polacco about the famous ducks at the Peabody Hotel. Well, Grandma and Grandpa picked this book up from the Russian Art Museum in Minneapolis, right near Clara and Walter and Hugo's house, and right across the street from Clara's school. It's also by the same author, Patricia Polacco. Her great great grandparents were from Russia, the Ukrainian part of Russia, and this is the story that her great grandmother told her about the blessing cup. Since there's one name on the cover, we know that Patricia Polacco is both the author and the illustrator. There's the little teacup we're going to talk about. And she added all kinds of beautiful artwork about the tea set right in here. The blessing cup. When my great-grandmother Anna was a little girl, long before she came to America, she lived in a small shtetl with her mother, papa, and baby sister Magda in Tver in Russia. Life was much harder yet when the Tsar's soldiers came. "Why do they do this to us, Mama?" Anna cried to her mother. And her mother rocked Anna and Magda in her arm and whispered, "I don't know, my child. I don't know." When it was safe, Anna's mother took them into the kitchen. Soon Anna's papa came home, and when they all sat down, Anna's mother placed 2 candlesticks on the table. She climbed on the warming stove and pulled down something that was lovingly covered with an embroidered cloth. Underneath was a magnificent china tea set. It was Friday, and the sun had set. Because they are of the Jewish faith, they practice Shabbat or Sabbath from sundown on Friday night to sundown on Saturday night. We go to church on Sunday, still giving God's day a day of rest. Anna's mother lit the candles and whispered prayers that became Shabbat. "Tell us again, Mama, tell us about the tea set," Anna teased. "Well," her mother began, "it was many years ago, just after your papa and I were married. A horse-drawn cart came to our village all the way from Tver. On it was the biggest wooden crate I'd ever seen. Everyone in Ronovka gathered around to see what was in it. That is when I discovered the crate was for me," she exclaimed with a grand gesture. "And when I unpacked it, everyone in the village stepped back. It took their breath away. It was this beautiful china tea set that you see before us now." "But, Mama, the note. Tell us about the note again," Anna insisted. Inside of this pot was a note. It was from my Aunt Rebecca in Minsk. It read, "Rachel, this is for you to celebrate your marriage. This tea set is magic. Anyone who drinks from it has a blessing from God. They will never know a day of hunger. Their lives will always have flavor. They will know love and joy, and they will never be poor." It was true, Anna thought. God had blessed them. Before their evening meals, Mama would always say, "So their lives will always have flavor." Anna felt nothing but love and joy in her mother's house, even though their lives were humble. Because there was never enough money, Anna's papa would say to her, "Oh, there is rich and there is rich. We are richer than kings. And do you know why?" Then he and Anna chant together, "Because we have each other." And Anna felt that in Rodovka, everyone is rich. They had each other. Winter was coming to an end at Ranovka. The first signs of spring were peeking through the last thin blanket of snow, but it was still cold, so Anna's family slept all together in the warming bed on top of the brick oven in the kitchen. As Anna drifted off to sleep, she watched the flickering light on the oven make pattern on the tea set, as if they were dancing, just for her. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, Anna was startled awake by a terrible sound. "What's happening, Mama?" Anna screamed. Her mother bundled Anna and Magda into the goat house, where they hid while Anna's papa ran to the temple. When her papa got there, it was too late. The temple was in flames. Rabbi Weissmantel shook a paper in Anna's papa's face. "The Tsar has ordered all Jews to leave Russia. All of us," he sobbed. "This is happening everywhere in Russia," the commandant of the soldiers called out. Anna's papa rushed back to the house to tell the family. There's a famous movie about this time. It's called Fiddler on the Roof. It's a musical, but it tells how the Jewish people of Russia were forced to leave their homes. So if you'd like to learn more about this time period, that might be a movie you guys could watch. For the next day, everyone had to sell or give away their meager belongings. They were ordered to pack what they could drag in carts or carry and leave. "Where will we go, Mama?" Anna asked. "Your papa has a cousin in a faraway land called America. Perhaps we can go there," her mother whispered. "How far away is it?" Anna asked. "Across the vast sea. So you must help me now and be brave." "I don't want to leave," Anna cried softly. "None of us do," her mother whispered as she packed. "Why do they want us here?" Anna asked. "Because we are different from them. They are afraid of what they don't understand," Anna's mother said, wrapping the beautiful tea set in a soft cloth. "It will bring God's blessing with us on our journey," said her mother. Anna's papa loaded his sewing machine, their menorah, the shofar, his tallis, and his holy books. "This is the last of what we are able to take with us," he said, sighing. He placed Anna and her sister in the cart, and he and their mother slowly pulled the cart away. Anna looked back at the village as long as she could see it. Only when it had disappeared from her sight did she look ahead and wonder what their new life in America would be like. The first night they stayed in a cold barn with other refugees fleeing the pogroms. Anna's mother went to the well and drew water in the china teapot and said, "May God's blessings be upon us." Then she broke bread and sprinkled salt upon it and whispered, "Bread so that we will never know hunger in our new life, salt that our lives will always have flavor. We shall always know love. As long as we are together, we shall never be poor." Then she passed the cup to each of them. They drank the water, ate their salted bread and raisins, and hugged close and went to sleep. As time went on, the journey was very hard. On some nights, they were welcome to sleep in barns. On other nights, they were chased away. Most nights, Anna's papa slept on the ground while his family slept in the cart. The open ground was damp, and he shivered with the cold. As the months passed, Magda was no longer a baby in her mother's arms, and his papa did odd jobs to get enough money as they continued their flight from Russia. It was a hard fall, and as they approached yet another new town, it was getting harder for Anna's papa to pull the cart. Then on the outskirts, he couldn't take another step. He collapsed. Anna's mother ran to find a doctor. When the doctor arrived, he listened to Papa's chest. "Your husband is very ill. He needs medicine, good food, rest, warmth, and care," he said. Anna's mother looked distressed. "You can stay with me. I live quite alone. I'll make your husband well," the doctor said as he brought them into the house. Anna, Magda, and their mother looked around the doctor's fine house. "Look at these rugs," Anna's mother said as they leaned over and felt one of them. "My late wife collected fine Persian rugs. There's a rich merchant down the street who has offered me a fortune for that one," the doctor chirped with a broad smile. After he put Anna's papa to bed, he came into the kitchen. "Can you cook, woman?" That is a question, he boomed. Anna's mother smiled, backed, and bowed. Such food I will make for you, Doctor, Anna's mother announced, opening cupboards and seeing what there was in the house to prepare. Then welcome, my dears, said the doctor. Sergei Vladimirovich Pushkin was true to his word. With his constant care, Anna's papa was soon recovering. The doctor saw to it that Anna and her sister were given proper food and fresh milk every day. It was he who noticed that Anna could not see well, so he fitted her with a pair of spectacles. That's another way of saying glasses. He took great delight in the good food that Anna's mother prepared. He grew very fond of the two children, and the whole family called him Uncle Genya. Some months later, there was a pounding on the door. Anna's mother knew right away from the look on Uncle Genya's face what the visit was about. They have told you that you cannot have Jews, haven't they? She asked. Dr. Pushkin nodded. Then we have to leave, Anna's mother said sadly. My dear, your husband cannot survive pulling the cart and sleeping in the open air. He's gravely weakened from pneumonia. He put on his coat and went out the front door. When Uncle Ganya came back, he asked the family to go into the parlor. He pulled a packet of papers from his pocket. I've gotten you all traveling papers so you can cross the border safely. I also brought these tickets for the train that will take you to Verdansk. Then I have arranged passage for all of you in a ship that will take you to America, he said quietly. And his papa fell to his knees and tears filled his eyes. How, Genya, how could you have possibly done this? It will have cost you a fortune. Only that rug you're dealing on. I sold it, Genya said with a broad smile. How can we ever repay you? Anna's mother asked. That evening, Anna's mother unpacked the tea set and brewed rich black chai tea. It brings God's blessing, and our desire is that a blessing will forever be on you in this house. Then she taught Uncle Gaya the ritual of the bread, salt, love, and bead richer than a king. They all rose very early the next morning, and Dr. Pushkin drove them to the train station in his carriage. When he arrived back home, he was astonished by what he saw on the sideboard in the dining room. It was the exquisite tea set. Next to it was a note. Anna's mother had written, Always remember, dear friend, you are the bread that fed us. You are the salt that flavored our lives. You are the love and joy that held us together. Your golden kind heart makes you rich indeed. You shall never be poor. I'm leaving you our precious tea set in your good keeping. We kept one cup so that we shall still have its blessing among the four of us. It is all that we need. And there's the Statue of Liberty. Gwen and Teddy just went to see that not too long ago with their dad. And so it was. Anna and her family traveled across the sea to America. Anna and her family all stood together in the rail and looked up at the Statue of Liberty. Papa, are the Tsar's soldiers here too? Anna asked as she took his hand. No, my dearest, not here. They can't reach us here, he whispered as he squeezed her hand. They lived for a time in Manhattan on 10th Street. Anna's papa worked in a tailor's shop just down a block from their 3-room walk-up. Every night, Anna's mother got out the one remaining cup and shared tea from it with her family. As they drank, they remembered the bread, salt, love, and richness of being together. They also vowed they would never forget Uncle Ganya. Eventually, Anna's mother and papa moved the family from New York to Union City, Michigan. On every family occasion and holiday, they drank from the cup and recited its blessings. Anna's parents lived all their days on the little farm, and shortly after her papa's death, Anna received the cup from her mother. Anna shared the cup and its blessing with her husband and children all the rest of her life. Shortly before her death, she gave the cup to her daughter, Carly. My grandmother, Carly, and her family named the cup the Blessing Cup and shared its blessings. In 1938, Carl gave the Blessing Cup to my mother Mary on her wedding day. And in 1962, my mother gave the Blessing Cup to me on my wedding day. I kept the Blessing Cup in an honored place in my home. I drank from it with my own two children while teaching them the blessing that it carried. I stored the cup on the top shelf in the china cabinet. I did at times wish that I had more than one cup so that both of my children could take a piece of our history with them when they married. On October 17th, 1989, at 5:04 in the afternoon, my home was rocked by one of the strongest earthquakes that the San Francisco Bay Area had experienced since the Great Quake in 1906. When I knew that everyone I loved was safe, I walked into the dining room, and to my horror, saw my china cabinet overturned. Everything in it had been shattered. I caught my breath. "Oh, the Blessing Cup," I sighed. And when I looked down, there it was on the floor in the middle of all the shards of broken glass and china. It had broken exactly in two, as if by design, as if by unseen force. I thought of my two children and smiled. I picked up the two pieces and held them close to my heart. At that moment, I realized more than at any other time that my ancestors, with my bread, that the salt and flavor of my life were their stories. Those stories have kept by them so that I would know that I was loved generations before I was born. How rich I am indeed. The Blessing Cup, Patricia, Polacco. Next time you guys are at the house, I'll have to show you the special tea set that I got from my great Aunt Mamie, my grandma's sister. It's sitting in the dining room.